Alright, what's up everybody? Figured today we'll finally do a review on the JG Scout 2.0, and I brought along two other knives for comparison, one because it's relevant and one because everybody knows what these are like or what the size is of them. I don't have the exact specs offhand, but I do believe this thing is about a 3.5 inch blade. I'm going to leave all the actual specs down in the description. I'll get them from Jason Guthrie. But if you've ever had a Scout 1.0, Scout 2.0 is not going to be much different other than a liner lock instead of a frame lock. So if you've had a 1.0, just know this review is probably pointless other than aesthetically pleasing, because this is a good looking knife, because everything else is pretty much the same. But for other people who maybe haven't had a Scout or are looking to get a Scout, maybe you've had other knives, this is my point of view from having Spectres, Oz's, Vectors, normal bug outs, pair 3s. I've had a bunch of different knives, but this is my 2.0. I actually ordered this directly from Jason. I got a book spot, I try to remember, maybe almost a year ago now. This is when he first started doing 2.0s, and so mine's got purple Fatcarbon. It's hard to tell in this lighting, but this is faded purple anno and then purple raindrops, and it has this also on the inside of the liner and on the thumb stud. And this blade's got a little bit of, I don't know, tape residue or something on it, because I do actually use this, and I feel like that's kind of important when you watch someone's review, as if they've actually used it. But these things are great. I think if you are someone who actually carries like high-end knives, like the Spectre, the Rosie, any of the hot topics around here, this is one to definitely add to the collection. If you're a frame lock guy, you can give a 2.0 a try, but I'll actually be selling this one and keeping the Vector simply because I'm a frame lock guy, and the liner lock, while it's incredible, it's just not for me. I've been thinking about it for a while, and I'm probably just going to go ahead and sell this, keep the Vector for now, and maybe pick up a 1.0 again. I had a 1.0 in the future, but yeah, the 2.0, it's great, but the liner lock kind of kills it for me personally. Although, I'll flip this too here in a minute. You'll see that the Scout is way smoother. It's not perfect, because these actually run on Teflon washers, both these and the BM Vector. But they're way smoother than the Vector, and just super smooth overall, especially for washers. And the 1.0s, the 2.0 is not as smooth as the older Scouts, but it's still, yeah, it's still pretty smooth. Also, if you're someone who likes front flippers, this can be front flipped. And if anybody on Instagram knows me, if I can front flip it, anybody can, because I'm an idiot. So if I can front flip it, so can you. The pocket clip on these is fantastic. It's 3D milled. But as far as pocket clips go, especially on high-end knives, these are fantastic. Like, every other knife maker should take a look at JG pocket clips. Like, I don't know, I think it's just, it has the perfect amount of retention, and just the ramp is really good. Centered for the most part. That actually might be me. Oh no, it looks fairly centered, maybe a little bit to this side. But these things stay centered. Like, because it's on washers, it's never going to get gunked up. I specifically ordered this blade shape. This is the Harpoon Warnie, and as you can see in hand, sorry my hands are a little dirty, so you can see in hand, it just, like, it chokes up perfect. Your thumb wants to go right into the poon area. Like, the blade shape, the ergos on everything on these is just incredible. This is the hand satin. This is, I think, his only finish he does anymore. As far as I know, I think he just does the hand satin, and then he might do the polished on the Damasteel blades. But his hand satin is my favorite of any. The Oz hand satin scratches really easy, and I've had hand satin on a few other knives, and they all scratch really easy, but for whatever reason, Jason's doesn't scratch. I mean, you can see it's got some tape down there, but I've used this thing a fair amount, and 0 scratches at all. I should have Windexed this before. This purple actually works really well with this purple Fatcarbon, especially even on the liner in there. And I think he's doing this anytime I didn't ask for this to be raindropped, but I think if he raindrops the clip, he automatically will raindrop the liner, just as a matching set deal. But yeah, so let me move this. I'll do a quick size comparison. So got the Scout there, And then this is a bug out. It's just wearing rock scale design scales, but it's standard bug out. So as you can see, very similar length. So actually, I might be wrong. Maybe this is like 3.3 inches because the blade's actually a lot closer than I remembered. But yeah, so very similar to the bug out. And then this is a knife. This won't help scout owners much, but or people wanting a scout, but this comparison will help guys wanting a Vector just because it's a little bit newer. Very similar to the Vector. Obviously, if you know the backstory, Bradley Marius, can't remember how you say his name. He actually trained under Jason Guthrie, and so that's why their stuff is so similar, except the Vector is still, he mainly does frame locks. I know he does some liner locks, but his is mainly frame locks still. But interestingly enough, if you do have this knife, if you've never held a Scout, the Vector feels a lot bigger in hand. Even though they're, you know, same size, same width pretty much, it feels a lot bigger in hand. So, and the Vector, it's just not as smooth, which, you know, I'm okay with, but not as smooth. Although this is an early one. This is number 26. When I was at Blade Show, I think I held number 75 or so. And his newer stuff is a lot smoother. It's almost at Jason Guthrie level, but he's still working on it. But yeah, so that's probably your better size comparison, just because everybody knows the size of a bug out. Really similar to a bug out, probably even in profile, honestly, or height. Yeah, very similar. So bug out works good in your hands. This will probably work as good or even better. I guess the ergos could mess you up, but I don't know. It's good. The grind is great. Like these things, they slice forever. Even if this thing was dull, before I had this resharpened, it was extremely dull as far as edge standards go, and it was cutting forever. And the Scout's just the same way. Like this thing could be completely dull, and it will be still slicing through paper, slicing through boxes. Like these things are ground so thin. I'd have to put mics on it to know, or a mic on it to know what the actual thickness is, but it's super thin. I might actually put that in the description as well. He uses M390 steel exclusively. Other than the Damasteel, I don't think he uses anything else. The Thumbstud, I think these are tie connector studs. They might be his by now, but they're just, I know you can put tie connector studs in these if you make the hole slightly bigger, which is a common mod people do, but it's just held in by a T6 screw. Everything on here is T6, which usually I'm against T6 stuff, but everything on here is super high quality T6, and it works. Everything's T6. You only need one driver. You don't need to switch out a bunch of bits. It works with everything being the same. I like all his new stuff. It has speed holes. He's been doing that since probably 2018. You can see the blade through. And just even the closed profile of this knife is, so good. And then obviously open. Yeah, this, if you are looking for a high-end knife to actually use, and, you know, it's going to stand up to grease, stand up to everything, and it's going to slice forever, everything's going to work, it's never going to have an issue, definitely look at getting a Scout. I still prefer the 1.0 if you can get a 2018 or newer, which is the newer version of the 1.0s after he's made a bunch of changes. That would definitely be the recommended model for me personally. But if you're a liner lock guy, God, the 2.0 is probably one of the best custom knives you can get. I don't know of any, I don't know of many liner lock customs out there. There's a few. There's Rob Johnson, I think is his name. I actually have something coming from him to a liner lock custom in a similar spec. He's a liner lock, but there's really, everybody else is frame lock still for the most part that I know of. So if you're a guy that likes liner locks, Scout 2.0, it's probably the way to go. But yeah, so this knife, absolutely love it. Unfortunately, probably going to sell it just because I wish it was a frame lock, and who knows, I might get another one in a frame lock. His other blade shapes, the 1.0 I had was a drop point non-harpoon, and as much as I loved it, if you're ordering, like if you get on the books for one of these, get the harpoon. Like even if you get the drop point harpoon, like get the poon. It's so good. Like, it's just perfect. Like ergos are great. You have a little bit of a hot spot right here, which could just be, I guess actually if you move your hand back a little bit more, like if you move to there, you're good to go. This is definitely a full-size knife, but sometimes if you just open it and start going, you can actually hit your finger right there and it's a little bit uncomfortable. Otherwise though, ergos are really good. And I guess if you want to see all the other grips, I don't know who actually cuts like this, but I know some people show the different grips off. Trying to see, let's see, tallness. It's about the same as the bug out, really. I mean, yeah, it's pretty close. It's honestly everywhere in size, other than it's probably a little bit thinner than the bug out. Yeah, I'd say. Yeah, if you're used to like bug out size, maybe Para 3, just obviously not the height because it doesn't have the giant nose of the Para 3, but it's very great size knife, good ergos, good materials, and these are not bad priced. I think this was $1,400, maybe $1,450 direct from South Africa from Jason. Secondary markets, like, it was higher. It was like $1,800, $2,000, but now everything's kind of come down. I think it's around $1,500. I could be wrong about that, but I know I've seen scouts go for under $1,000. I think my old scout actually I got for $900. So you can find them out there, especially if they've been modded. For whatever reason, the modded ones just don't hold nearly as good a value. But I would actually recommend picking up a scout, used one, you know, for cheap. See if you like it. It's kind of what I did, and then search for the one. Search for whatever one you want to keep. Actually, if I can find this exact config in a frame lock, I'll probably buy it and keep it. But yeah, so that'll be all for this one, guys. I think I've pretty much rambled for 10 minutes and made my points on how much I love this knife and how much you should own one if you're looking at trying to acquire a scout. Don't overpay. Do not pay $2,000 for this knife. I know it's not like rosy hype anymore, but people do still hype these up. Don't pay $2,000 for these knives. Like, this is a great $1,400, $1,500 knife. Don't get me wrong. I wouldn't pay more than $1,600. Yeah, I probably wouldn't pay any more than $1,600 for this. Like, especially these vectors are coming down now for like $1,100. Like, I would get one of these over this at that price. You know, you're talking $1,100 versus, you know, $1,600. Not even a question. Don't overpay in this insane hype knife market, even if it is still kind of down. But all right, guys, catch you in the next one.